In a world full of uncertainty, AI is reshaping how we trade, invest, and think about money. On this episode of Searching for Mana, I sat down with the OG of copy trading, Yoni Assia, who's the co-founder and CEO of eToro. Yoni started investing at just 13 years old and has built a platform serving over 40 million people worldwide. We talk about how AI is changing investing, what it will look like to have a portfolio advisor like Warren Buffett, and the rise of social trading and tokenization. Recorded across Bitcoin Miner Conference in Abu Dhabi Finance Week, this conversation captured the energy of the region's most dynamic financial stages. I hope you find this interview insightful. Let's dive in.
Yoni, it's an honor to have you here with us. Welcome to Abu Dhabi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Always great to be here in Abu Dhabi.
So, great. I want to start off with going back in history. So, I want to get your perspective on how online trading has evolved. Back in the early days with firms like Vanguard or Fidelity, you remember that you had to kind of pick up a telephone and in order to place trades. But now things have moved very much forward with the mobile apps and technology. Fast forward to modern platforms like eToro. How were you able to take on this evolution? What's your take on that shift from doing traditional trading with the stocks, with the hedge fund managers to kind of having everything automated and in just one click?
So I think every generation has its both generational asset class and sort of the technology that transitions completely the market. From meeting the person in the branch in the past, moving to phone brokerage, to then what we call discount brokerage 1.0, which was like the e-trades of the world of using computers, to where eToro started and is now, which is native digital and a mobile experience where people constantly 24/7 are in the markets. And at the same time, we're also seeing generational asset classes, the shift into digital assets, the shift into 24/5 trading and coming probably very fast in 2026, 24/7 trading to traditional markets as well. So since founding eToro in 2007, we've always taken most innovative technologies and brought them fast to our customers. We started eToro before there was mobile, right? So it started as a desktop app, then it became mobile. Then we were the first in Europe to add Bitcoin trading. In 2013, we established our first AI smart portfolio in 2017 and are out advancing quantitative trading and democratizing quantitative trading for our customers using AI. So it's always taking the technologies that reshape everything and bringing them to finance, to trading and investing is what drives eToro and our passion about the markets.
That's fascinating to hear about how you've kind of moved this shift. And speaking about technology, you focus a lot on Gen Z, right? Especially that it really much resonates with the interface of your platform. Well, when I think about Schwab or Fidelity, for instance, it's not very attractive for younger generations to use it because their marketing feels very traditional and outdated. While you kind of pioneered in the marketing space, like I remember when I saw eToro, the first ad was with Alec Baldwin, which was insanely incredible collaboration. You kind of spoke to the younger generation, and I think that makes me wonder, like, how were you able to tap into the younger generation while other traditional firms weren't able?
I think, first of all, I understand my generation, Gen Y, and I know sort of my expectations. We always say in eToro, we're our main customers. So every eTorian actually has an eToro account, uses the eToro account, and we always look at what's happening in the markets. I think it's very hard for traditional financial institutions to do that leap towards younger generation because of the structure of how traditional financial institutions operate. And we see this across the globe. So I think it's like two big things that are happening in parallel. One is the platforms are becoming global. So we operate in 75 different countries. We're regulated from the US, Europe, UK, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, Australia. And what we see in each market is a very different financial market, right? Different investment firms, different banks. It's still very much a local industry. And I think user experience is actually global, right? Our generation, Gen Y and Gen Z, are a global mindset. We're all using Facebook and Google and the same apps and Apple. So we have the same user expectations. So we can actually serve customers from many markets using the same user experience, which is a significant leap towards traditional financial institutions.
It's very fascinating. I think speed and execution matters a lot, especially for the younger generation.
100%. We're seeing it now with even younger generations. So we catered to start with Gen Y. Gen Y is going to be in the next 20 years the richest generation on the planet. So we're talking about the largest transformation of wealth in history. More than $100 trillion are want to move over the next 20 years from older generations to Gen Y and Gen Z. That's $100 trillion that are also moving with very different user expectations. They expect for everything to be 24/7 in their mobile, using the most advanced technologies that they experience in other tech platforms. And we're excited to see that shift, and with that scale also of our business. So we have today about at the end of September, more than $20 billion of assets of our customers on the platform, of almost 3.8 million funded brokerage accounts. And we're very excited to see also the shifts of how they're shifting from local stocks to global stocks to crypto assets to now also futures and options trading on eToro. So always excited to see more technology and more assets in the hands of our customers.
Right. And what about the younger generation? Do you see a kind of pattern that they're more favorable of investing in the currencies rather than traditional stocks?
I'd say, first of all, we see like on eToro people from 18 to 80, right? So we do have a very wide range of customers. And we also see that our largest customers usually are actually those where their average age is 45 plus, where the average age on eToro is about 35, right? So of course, as you grow older, you amass wealth. What we see with the younger generations, even more specifically those in their 20s, is that they're what we call crypto native. In many cases, their first trade was not stocks, it was crypto. And then they expect actually the markets to operate, the traditional markets to operate like crypto markets. And they expect the assets to trade 24/7 and actually be transferable and to be able to use them with smart contracts. So it's actually very interesting to see that very wide range of user expectations on the eToro platform for different people.
So when I remember I made my first trade, obviously desktop through the internet, that was I think in 1996 or 7, very, very early days. But when we founded eToro in 2007, 18 years ago, it was still very hard to access the global markets. It was very expensive. The platforms of the banks are still, by the way, horrible. So we believe that by building a better user interface, we can bring capital markets, the stock markets, into millions of people. And that's exactly what we executed over the past 18 years. And it's been amazing to see how a lot of the innovations that we brought into from basically immediate onboarding, the ability to actually fund your account with a credit card or a debit card for real-time payments, fractional shares, so you can actually fund an account with $50 and buy a fraction of a share on eToro with no commission. So a lot of these innovations eventually led up to opening the market to a whole new generation of people. And after launching eToro just in 2008, we had the global financial crisis. And that's when we really saw how much the system is broken, because we saw that the connectivity to the markets, to the currency markets even, stopped working. And it led us to actually look more into the infrastructure of the markets. And that led us eventually to looking at Bitcoin, which really changed eventually how all the markets are trading now with blockchain technology.
A lot of people may not have known this, but I read that you actually wrote a white paper with Vitalik Buterin as well.
Yes, in 2012, we looked at Bitcoin technology and actually started buying Bitcoin at about $5 for eToro's books, not enough. But $50,000 for eToro that became $50 million. And when we looked at the technology, it really reminded me of the first time I also traded stock when I was a kid. It was like, this is how money should work. And we wrote a paper that says, based on Bitcoin technology, you can actually create dollars and gold tokens and actually tokenize real world assets on top of the Bitcoin network. And we developed that protocol. And when I wrote the paper or the first blog post, actually Vitalik commented on it and asked, can he join the team and can he write some of the software? And he actually came to our offices in eToro in 2012 and sat in our offices to write the first tokenization protocol on top of the Bitcoin protocol. But eventually he basically told the team, listen, this can't scale on Bitcoin. You need to build a new blockchain. And everybody were extremely skeptical and actually mad about it because Bitcoin maximalists think that there should be only one Bitcoin protocol. Right. And then, of course, eventually Vitalik went off to build Ethereum.
That's very fascinating to hear that, the whole cryptocurrency evolved from peer-to-peer to a whole new infrastructure, like we're building the whole decentralized systems. Well, I know that eToro focuses a lot on Gen Z in particular, and you see that a lot of like traditional systems like Fidelity or Schwab, that they very much have a traditional way of investing. How did like your future resonate with, the younger generation?
So I think a lot of it is about the user experience and expectations of different generations. So I'm actually the oldest of Gen Y, sort of that cutoff. And I'd say we focus very much on Gen Y and Gen Z, which is basically what's called the generational transformation of wealth. So over the next 25 years, more than $100 trillion are going to move from older generations to younger generations, to people who are digital native, right? So Gen Yers are by definition digital native. We grew up already connected to the internet. And Gen Z who are actually crypto native, right? So their first trading experience in the markets is already with crypto assets of that younger generation. And every generation has very different expectations, right? So my grandfather was in the generation of going to the bank, going to the branch. My father was phoning the broker, right? So phone changed the landscape. Then obviously the first wave of the internet brought us what we call discount brokerage 1.0 for Gen X. And Gen Y is about a better user experience through mobile and through social. So on eToro, you can actually see what other people are trading, their performance, and then you can automatically copy them. So I think our generation expects more openness, to be able to see what other people are doing, to talk to them. So social, mobile, digital, and of course, crypto. So when we launched first Bitcoin trading in 2013, that was very early. We were the first regulated brokerage in Europe to actually launch Bitcoin trading back in 2013. And then obviously saw the 2017 scale up when we added more and more assets. But we definitely see younger generations that are more interested in their starting their investment experience actually with crypto versus stocks. And on eToro, part of the uniqueness is you can actually trade both about 200 different crypto assets, but also stocks from 25 different capital markets. So our customers from 75 different countries can actually trade their local stocks, global stocks like US stocks, and trade cryptocurrencies as well.
Fascinating. They have access to both local and global markets. Now, talking about the social aspect of eToro, because I find this very fascinating, is that you allow investors to also like show what kind of cryptocurrencies or what kind of stocks that they're trading. So it's very open, and you have the concept of copy trading, which I believe like you were one of the first OGs that to actually introduce this kind of concept. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. So we invented the concept of social network, of social trading and copy trading, and actually patented it back in 2012. And the concept is where you see on eToro people's portfolios, and you see the top investors on eToro, and you can actually decide to copy them. So you select an amount, let's say $500, to copy someone, and it copies their entire portfolio into your $500. And every time they trade, it trades in your account at the same time, the same price, and the same proportion. 1 out of 1,000 investors in eToro, so 4,000 roughly out of 4 million, becomes a part of the eToro Pro Investor Program, where we actually train them and certify them as money managers, and they get paid for being copied. So the top investor on eToro today grew his assets under copy from $50 million to $250 million just in 2025. Actually, here we have two of our top investors that are here at the conference. Actually, I think about 3 or 4. So the second one has $162 million copying him. And basically, they become basically portfolio managers by managing their own portfolio. Then they get paid, the top ones, more than $1 million a year for just basically being copied on eToro. And we actually invite them to meet our clients and to participate in our conferences so they can actually physically meet the people copying them.
That's fascinating. And this is better than a hedge fund manager job, basically, if you're getting to earn that much. So this is a good moment to transition to speak to you about prediction markets, because last month there was a question that there was a poll that said that what would be eToro's earning for Q3. So it was very interesting to see that people were betting on the new earnings since the company is now public. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you see it evolving as a new category?
I think it's definitely here to stay. I think it always existed in some sort of another, but now actually I think blockchain technology and what's happening in the regulation in the US, which is by far the most friendly regulatory environment today to crypto, where you have the SEC chair saying everything is moving on chain. So those two things together, the regulation and technology, basically now created a very, very ripe market for scalable prediction markets. And prediction markets create basically a price formation, right? So you want to understand prices around probabilities of things that happen, then prediction markets can create those predictions by people actually voting on it with their money. If I remember correctly, I think even Vitalik wrote about it in the Ethereum white paper back in the original white paper 2014. So I think the crypto space always knew there was this potential, and now stars have aligned to create significant volume and interest across a lot of different categories. So when people are trying to look at elections or financial results or economic results of countries, you can actually look at these prediction markets and look at the probabilities that people are voting with their money.
That's an interesting way of collecting information.
Yeah.
And speaking about information, you launched Tori, which is an AI analyst, and you've also been involved with vibe coding. Could you tell us more about that?
So we are a very big believer in both the digital asset space and, of course, in the role of AI in investing. So Tori is our AI analyst, where in the platform itself, you actually have a GPT embedded that can look at your portfolio, that can look at the markets, that can actually tell you how what happened in the markets impacts your portfolio, and actually has access to look at other people's portfolio as well. So you can ask it questions like, what are other people trading right now, etc. And we've built an AI studio to our top investors. So our top investors, super smart people, who are generating double-digit returns over time on the platform. And now with vibe coding, you can very easily create apps, right? So you can actually say, I want an app that looks at my portfolio every day, that gives me the comments of Warren Buffett on what he thinks I should do on my portfolio, and get the text. And we provided that AI studio to our pro investors. They created over 200 apps just now in the beta process. And we are now opening up the app store so our customers can actually access those apps created by our top investors. So I do believe AI unleashes huge amounts of innovation opportunities for our customers.
Oh, that's fascinating to hear that. And obviously, you've been in the industry for more than 18 years. So looking back, what is your most proudest moment so far?
I would definitely say standing on stage in NASDAQ with my father, who also listed his company about 30 years ago, and with my brother and family was one of the proudest moments I've had in my life. And I've also looked at a lot of combined small proud moments, which is in many, many cases being here in conferences, meeting people that tell me that their first trade ever was on the eToro platform.
Yeah.
So always very proud to bring people into capital markets, especially when I meet them after and see that they have actually become entrepreneurs in capital markets.
Well, that's very nice to hear that. Thank you so much, Yoni, for like sharing your background and experience. And we're looking forward to see more eTorians invest on eToro and also make a lot of wins. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Searching for Mana podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it and hope to see you again next time. Please subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes to make sure you receive all the latest episodes as they are released.